hear this poem, we thought that in the beginning that threading a piece of grace through the stories that we know as our lives meant that it could only ever turn out beautiful. But it's not the pattern that it made it hope. It's become some kind of unholy mess from beginning to end. And how true is that? I mean, how often do we simply look at our lives as an unholy mess? We all suffer in many different ways, whether it's chronic pain or depression or family issues. We suffer to the point of discouragement, and yet some of us are just plain stressed out on the point of living. We're all equally marked by those experiences, though. Humanity, loss, pain, disappointment. We're imprinted in ways that act both as temporary lesions and as permanent markings, the tattoos of our existence as children of this world. But the poem continues. We tried unraveling this unholy mess of thread to start it all over again, with clumsy fingers searching the knots and tangles to find an end, but there isn't one. And instead, with all our attempts to make it neat and perfect, the thread of grace only became more tangled. However, we choose the marks that remain permanent. We make this choice to merge ink with flesh, to take the topographical canvas that is our skin and emblazon the story with black and colors. Prayer, blended with spontaneity, moves us to select a visual reminder of our struggles, a way in which either our eyes or the mirror can convey the constant reminder of our journeys into, and more importantly, out of the trials. You know, when the Faithmarks initiative was conceptualized, the reasoning was really basic. Are the stories that accompany the spiritual ink that people have, what are those stories and why are they worth sharing? Will the community relate to them in the same ways that those of us that stalked those people did? As the photographic art show has toured the country, from the Wild Goose Festival to seminaries, from church foyers to community festivals and pride festivals, the consistent theme that developed is that the stories that people hold are both precious and worthy of sharing. But of all the themes that arise, the most consistent is that of imperfection, that we are a collective mess. And yet we are willing to brand ourselves with the stories of our faith as a reminder of how innately broken we are before the phoenix of our psyche arose from those ashes. This is Robin. Her hummingbird tattoo may look non-spiritual at first, but in evaluating her own personal life's journey, the ability to look at her past as well as looking forward was important. The hummingbird, as you may know, is the only bird that flies backwards and forwards. This is Mandy. You see that rose on her shoulder and the crown underneath her hairline? Those tattoos cover up gang tattoos that she got when she was a teen. She altered her heart for Jesus, and then she altered her ink, her marks. You know, Brene Brown once spoke of holding a baby for the first time, and instead of lauding it, said, "Oh, you are so imperfect. You are wired for struggle, and yet you are completely worthy of love and of belonging and of adoration." Completely worthy to belong and to be loved. Why is it so difficult for so many of us to figure that out? How hesitant are we to simply be kind to ourselves? I mean, if we talk to others the way we talk to ourselves, I mean, really, you can't even imagine. But what about when you make a mistake? Do you call yourself names? Do you go and ask for help and already lay the foundation of your own inadequacies when you say, I'm sorry, I really should know this, but? Are you marked with unworthiness? You know, self-rejection is the greatest enemy of our relationship with God because it contradicts his sacred voice that called us first beloved. And being the beloved constitutes the core truth of our existence with him, the core reason for the relationship. This movement of tens of thousands on social media, daily submissions from all over the world of how stories have solidified their spiritual story of another is astounding, especially to those of us who started what was once a crazy idea over a couple bottles of wine. We've created space, though, in this community, as we should in all our communities, for questions and learning through spiritual conversations. We can't disqualify someone for questioning or for challenging the teachings because they seek a source of clarity. We do this because this is how God loves. If God doesn't love us conditional on our beliefs, He can't. He can't love us in spite of our sin and our ignorance and our unbelief. This is the basis for His communication with us. He chooses to remain in communities where unbelief is present. You know, the expanse of my sinfulness unfolds before my eyes on a daily basis. More so the older I get. But my values and traditions and beliefs aren't whole and perfect yet. God, because of His initiative, I am marked. And remember how the poem began. We thought at the beginning that running a thread of grace through the stories we wear as our lives meant it could only ever turn out beautiful. But it's nothing like the pattern made us hope, and it's become an unholy mess. But how it ends? The mess is still a mess, but it's a tangle held together forever by that thread of grace, and that grace won't let it come undone. These marks define us, they root us, display them with humble honor.